This week on Archery 101, we're covering the third step of your shot cycle, hooking the string. All right, everybody, take your seats and let's get this show on the road, shall we? We got to continue our series on your shot cycle. If you've been watching, you know that we are in step number 3, and that is to hook the string. Now, if you don't know what the first 2 steps are, well, go back and watch the videos. I'll tell you real quick. The first step is your stance. It is the foundation of your shot cycle. The second step is nocking the arrow. And as I said just now, the third step is hooking the string. Now, a good hook can help you have a cleaner release. A good hook will mean a more consistent anchor point. And finally, a good hook can help prevent injuries. Okay? Those are the advantages of a good hook. Up next, we're going to talk really quick about the 3 ways to hook a string. All right, everybody. Hooking the string. There's 3 basic ways if you're shooting with your fingers. Now, this is when it gets a little foggy back and forth, okay? 2 ways to shoot with your fingers, primary ways, split finger and 3 under. And many people, they're not wrong, but I don't think they take into consideration so much the difference between the 2, all right? What we're gonna do first, before I go on to the next, I'm gonna try to illustrate to you the difference. So, what I have right here is my right-handed split finger tab. And you can see right there, look at that big honking thing. That's a spacer. All right, goes on like that. Look how far apart my index and ring finger are. Now, wouldn't that tell you that they would be slightly different on the string? An almost ½ inch difference, right? So when a lot of people tell you to grip a certain way, make sure you find out if they're doing split or 3 under. I don't know if it's true, but to me, that makes a difference. All right, let's go over the 3 ways on how the string is hooked on your hand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the camera in and I'm going to show you a close-up of the hand, okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, 3 ways to hook the string. Here's your hand. I'm going to demonstrate with a 3 under just because it's a little bit easier. I'm going to use this yellow string right here. And the first way you can hook the string is called a shallow grip or shallow hook. And that's your fingertips. It's right there. If you notice, the string is above all my first joints. And they hook it just like that. So the string's like this. It's hooked like that. There you go. Alright. The second one, which preferred by a lot of Olympic archers, it goes in front of the first finger, behind the second finger, in front of the first finger, or third finger. It's that, right there. So you can see it's in front of the first, behind the middle, and in front of that. And then it curls like that. Now that's normally referred to as a deep hook. And the one I talk about, the oh my god hook, is people that bring it all the way down to the second knuckles. Just like that, and they hook it like that. The problem with that one is when you get that oh my god hook, and I know people that use it, but see how much farther travel it has to do? And that's why some people prefer the shallow hook like that, because it's really easy to get it off of there. Alright, now the next question we got is weight distribution, right? How much weight or effort do you put on each finger? And we're going to cover that up next. Alright, everybody, now that we know the 3 positions of a hook, right, and the 2 type of grips we can use, what about the big question? How much weight should be on each finger? Boy, is this a can of worms. I'm going to read to you from the Archery Handbook for Olympic Archers, and this goes for split-fingered shooters, but this is a good general thing. Remember, this is for split finger. Now, how they do it, it's interesting. It says, once at full draw position, you should have about 50% of the pressure of the string on your middle finger, 35 to 40% on your index finger, and 10 to 15% on your ring finger. However, because of the string angle at set position, you need to feel the majority of pressure on your index finger. The angle of the string changes from being straight to being angled at the top and bottom once you pull the bow back. Although the string angle changes, you must maintain the placement of the string on your fingers. So, good point there, right? So when you set your hook, half the weight should be on your index finger, but as you draw back, the natural resistance that's going to change the weight distribution. So remember that. Now, remember that's split finger. But I don't think it's this true 3-under, because let's go back to looking at the biomechanics of it. Ooh, big word, Greg. I know. Different, right? So when I first do my hook, yeah, I can hook like that, and as I pull, it's going to open up. But I go with my left hand here. I'm much stronger with all my 3 fingers together than I am with the one apart. So I don't really think about the weight, how much. I really couldn't tell you that. But I do know a couple things. One, this one does have the least amount. These two are pretty darn close, right? And I also know if I don't have enough on this one, my shots tend to go way off. Consistent pressure is the main thing, all right? Play with it, find out what helps you. Now I notice that if I use my middle finger too much, I can feel it right there, the string. If I use my middle finger more, if I don't use my ring finger enough. So when I do it, the string actually is running from here, under and over. And I've seen, if you look at Brady Ellison, I mean his ring finger is barely on that string. So it can work either way. So what we're really trying to do is just tell you to find a comfortable way for you to hook. All right? And don't worry so much about the pressure, but just remember the pressure when you hook it and the pressure at full draw are 2 different things. All right, that's how you do it. Now we're going to put it all together and we're going to dismiss class and get your butt out there and practice. All right, everybody, we know the advantages of a good hook, right? It can provide a cleaner release. It can provide a more consistent anchor point, and it can help prevent injuries. We know there's 2 basic types of grips, split finger, 3-under. There are others, but those are the 2 primary ones. We know that the weight, when you hook your string, should be on your index finger when you set the hook. But when you draw, the majority of the weight is going to transfer to your middle finger, index finger, and very little on your ring finger. Now I do question that for 3-under as opposed to split, but that is for something for you to figure out on your own. All right, so how do you set your hook? That's a great question, right? So we got our shoulder in line with the target. I got my proper stance. I knock my arrow appropriately. I have the bow in my hand. The bow is out, relaxed. I always do mine slightly down. I'm going to bring it up for demonstration purposes only. I'm going to take my hand. I bring my wrist bent over. I hook it in. I make sure I got it in the proper spot. Mine is just past my first knuckle joint. I get that, then once I get it here, I'm going to curl my fingers in. I'm going to take my thumb, tuck it down onto my fingers, put a slight amount of pressure, remember index finger the most, and I've just set my hook. I am done with that preparatory movement. Now what I'm going to do is bring the camera around, and hopefully I'll be able to film this again from the other direction. All right, boys and girls, here we are. For demonstration purposes, I'm holding the bow like this. You would never do that. I'm going to bring my hand around. I'm going to get my tab where it needs to be. I'm going to check my fingers for the proper alignment. Then I'm going to curl them. I'm going to take my thumb, touch it on my finger. Then I'm going to use my index finger and I'm going to pull. A little bit of tension, not a whole lot. And I have just successfully set my hook. All right? We're not drawing back with it. We're setting it, getting ready. None of that stuff, none of this stuff while you're doing it, all right? Here, here, and there. That is how I set my hook. All right, boys and girls, that's it. Now, it's very vague, ain't it? And I did that on purpose because, you know, your hand's not the same as my hand, his hand, her hand, blah, 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 blah. So many variables. I have wimpy hands. I usually nerve pinches on mine. I've actually did damage to my right hand because I didn't use a Damascus glove and I lost feeling for 6 months in my right ring finger. So I'm being very vague on purpose. But remember, let's sum it all up and put it together. Cleaner release, that's important, isn't it? Consistent anchor, that's pretty important. Helps prevent injury. And also, if you don't hook the same each time, it'll actually change how you draw slightly, because if the pressure is not in the same spot, you're going to have to use slightly different muscles to draw the bow back. So it affects your draw also. Draw and anchor, those are two big things, right? Now you got three types of hooks. You got the shallow, which is above the first joint. You got the regular one, which is splitting the two. And then you got the oh my god it's deep one, which is almost on this one right here. The vast majority of archers use the one right here. But it is totally up to you. Find out what works for you and try to make it, what's that word? What's that word, class? Think. Very good. Consistent. Because remember, the C's that we talk about. If it's comfortable, it will be consistent. And if it's consistent, you are halfway there, brother. All right? Because if you got it comfortable and it's consistent, you'll become consistent. All right? It is that simple. Hooking the string, a preparatory movement, number 3. All right, boys and girls, we're going to get you out of here. We're going to go practice, right? Get out in that range. We're going to focus on our stance. We're going to check that knock, and then we're going to set our hooks properly, setting us up for a successful shot each time. All right, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If not, tell me why in the comments down below. And I'll see you next week with step number 4 of our shot cycle. All right, class dismissed. I'm going to go hit the range myself. All right, boys and girls, let's go hit some bullseyes.